Feel the weight on your feet right now. You stand up without thinking, balancing your entire upright body on two tiny soles. But 4 million years ago, this simple daily act was a terrifying, life-or-death gamble out on the vast African savanna. For 99% of human history, walking upright was not natural at all. It was a bizarre evolutionary experiment. An experiment that permanently reshaped your spine, your hips, your brain, and every single step your body takes today. To understand why your body walks on two legs, you must travel back to a changing world millions of years ago. The lush African rainforests were slowly shrinking, giving way to endless open grasslands under a fierce, unrelenting sun. Your early ape ancestors faced a brutal choice: stay in the disappearing trees, or step down onto the dangerous open earth. Moving across open ground on four limbs required immense effort. Every mile burned precious calories your ancestors could not afford to lose. In 2007, researchers Michael Sokol and Herman Poncer placed humans and chimpanzees on specialized laboratory treadmills to measure energy expenditure. They measured oxygen consumption to calculate the exact metabolic cost of knuckle-walking compared to walking upright on 2 feet. The results shocked evolutionary biologists worldwide. Knuckle-walking chimpanzees burned vastly more energy moving across the ground than upright walking humans. In fact, standing up and walking on 2 legs saved your ancestors a staggering 75% of their daily energy. Saving 75% of daily fuel meant your ancestors could forage much farther across the savanna without starving. Extra energy meant extra survival. It provided the critical calorie surplus needed to eventually feed a growing, hungry human brain. Yet this brilliant energy savings came at a steep price, a price written directly into the anatomy of your modern spine. Standing upright offered another critical advantage on the scorched savanna, a revolutionary way to escape the deadly African heat. When your ancestors walked on 4 limbs, their entire back was exposed directly to the punishing midday tropical sun. Renowned evolutionary scientist Peter Wheeler discovered that standing upright dramatically altered how solar radiation strikes a living mammal body. A 4-legged ape acts like a solar panel, soaking up immense heat across its entire spine, overheating its delicate brain. By standing tall, your ancestors presented only the small surface area of their head and shoulders to the sun above. This posture reduced direct solar heat absorption by up to 60%, keeping their body cool and protecting their brain. Furthermore, standing taller lifted their torso high into cooler breeze currents, blowing above the tall savanna grass, catching refreshing air. Yet energy savings and heat regulation were only half the miracle. Standing up did something even more radical to your hands. For millions of years, primate hands were trapped in locomotion, forced to bear weight on muddy ground and rough tree bark. The moment your ancestors stood up on 2 feet, their front limbs were permanently liberated from walking. Their hands became completely free. Anthropologist Owen Lovejoy proposed that free hands transformed social survival, allowing early hominids to carry food over long distances. Your ancestors could now pick fresh fruit, gather high-calorie roots, and walk miles back to their tribe with full arms. Carrying food back to camp sparked widespread group sharing, strengthening social bonds and encouraging collective protection for vulnerable infants. With hands no longer tied to walking, your ancestors began shaping sharp stone edges, inventing the very first technology. Free hands stimulated your brain, and your brain demanded better tools. But this rapid expansion triggered a dangerous anatomical catastrophe. To walk efficiently on 2 legs, your ancestors needed a narrow, compact pelvis. But a narrow pelvis created a tight squeeze for childbirth. Anthropologist Karen Rosenberg termed this clash the obstetrical dilemma, an evolutionary head-on collision between bipedal locomotion and big human brains. As human brains grew larger, babies were born at an earlier, helpless developmental stage just to pass safely through the narrow pelvis. This tight pelvic fit forced human mothers to rely on birth assistance and tribal help, turning child rearing into a cooperative social effort. But pelvis narrowing wasn't the only anatomical penalty. To keep your head balanced over 2 feet, your spine had to twist violently. A four-legged mammal spine acts like a sturdy horizontal suspension bridge, distributing weight evenly across 4 supporting pillars. Standing upright stacked your entire body weight vertically onto a single column, bending your lumbar vertebrae into an unstable double S curve. Gravity constantly pushes down on your lower back, crushing the soft spinal discs between your vertebrae with every step you take. Paleoanthropologist Jeremy De Silva notes that lower back pain, herniated discs, and sciatica are unique taxes humans pay for walking upright. Chimpanzees almost never suffer from slipped discs or chronic lower back pain because their horizontal spines never fight vertical gravity. Below your spine, your knees took on a massive load. Locking your knees straight with every stride created new mechanical weak spots. Your feet transformed from gripping hands into rigid springboards, absorbing hundreds of tons of pressure over a single lifetime of walking. Your body became a fragile patchwork of engineering compensations, flawed, prone to injury, but undeniably successful at outlasting competitors. And despite every aching joint, this upright posture unlocked a hidden superpower that would make humans the most lethal hunters on Earth. You couldn't outrun a lion, but on 2 legs, you could do something far more terrifying: walk your prey to death. In 2004, evolutionary biologists Dennis Bramble and Daniel Lieberman proposed that walking upright was not just about energy savings, it evolved into running endurance. A quadruped predator like a saber-toothed cat can sprint at terrifying speeds, but only for a few hundred intense yards before completely overheating. Furry animals cannot sweat effectively. To cool down, they must stop running entirely and pant heavily to dump internal heat through their mouths. Your upright body possesses between 2 and 5 million eccrine sweat glands, transforming your bare skin into a high-performance liquid cooling radiator. As you jog under the blazing midday sun, wind rushes past your hairless skin, evaporating sweat droplets and constantly chilling your bloodstream. 4-legged animals are physically forced to take exactly 1 breath per stride, but on 2 legs, your diaphragm breathes completely independent of your steps. Imagine a high noon hunt millions of years ago. Temperatures reach scorching peaks, and every predator in the savanna is resting in shade. Your ancestor spots an antelope. The animal panics, sprinting away at 40 miles per hour, vanishing into the shimmering horizon. Your ancestor doesn't sprint, they simply march at a steady, unstoppable pace, tracking the animal's prints under the brutal sun. The antelope stops in bushes to pant and rest. But 20 minutes later, that same upright figure emerges over the hill, never stopping. After 3 grueling hours of continuous pursuit, the antelope's body temperature spikes dangerously high. Unable to pant, its muscles seize and collapse. Your ancestor walks up calmly to an exhausted prey animal, securing massive amounts of protein without ever engaging in a dangerous physical fight. Modern anthropologists like James Sussman documented Kalahari sand hunters using this exact persistence hunting technique to outwalk antelopes in heat. This endurance running lifestyle enlarged your gluteus maximus muscles and spring-like Achilles tendons, anatomical features completely absent in tree-dwelling apes. Your body was built to walk 10 to 15 miles every single day. So what happens when that ultimate endurance machine is trapped in a modern office chair? For over 3 million years, human survival depended on continuous physical movement. Your ancestors walked through plains, climbed ridges, and tracked animals. Today, the average modern human spends up to 10 hours a day sitting completely still in foam chairs, cars, and couches. Evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman calls this evolutionary mismatch, your ancient hunter body trapped inside a sedentary modern environment. When you sit for hours, your gluteus muscles switch off, your hip flexors tighten, and your spine slumps into an unnatural curve. The vertical double S spine that once freed your hands now buckles under static pressure, creating chronic lower back pain. Your ancient cardiovascular system, designed to pump sweat and blood during long daily marches, slows down when sitting motionless. Your bone density drops because your legs no longer absorb the constant impact pressure they were engineered to receive. Your body is not broken or fragile. It is simply functioning exactly as evolution designed it, for a world that no longer exists. Every time you feel the urge to stretch your legs, take a walk, or stand up, that is your ancestral biology calling. Because beneath your modern clothes, every bone in your skeleton remains a 4 million-year-old masterpiece of endurance. Standing upright was the first radical step that made everything else possible. Your tools, your culture, your brain. It was the ultimate gamble taken by fragile apes who dared to step out of the safe trees onto the open plain. A gamble that cost you backaches and difficult childbirth, but gave you the entire planet. So, the next time you step out your door and feel your stride carry you forward, remember where that stride began. Feel the weight on your feet right now. You stand up on two soles, carrying 4 million years of human history.